Welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com is the email address. My name is Kevin, joined by Lincoln. Lincoln, what day is it today?
Wow. Wednesday, December 16th.
Okay, good. Want to make sure we get that out of the way at the top. That's your job. You can listen to the show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and watch us on FloTrack.org/FloTrack podcast. Tomorrow and the next day, we're going to preview the marathon project, which is coming up this weekend. And then next week, we're going to get into the end of the year stuff. But we want to do a little bit of end of the year stuff today and talk about biggest breakthroughs of 2020 because we had a little space in the calendar and I didn't want to do the marathon project preview too early. Wanted to wait, wanted to go through one last time the start lists, check some PRs because Gordon wants to do that draft style. So I really need to have my facts in order before we do that one.
Yeah, he's big on the draft type stuff. Gordon and I have become big on making bets with each other, but not actually fulfilling the obligations of the bet, which feels weird. Mm-hmm. But I think it's now balanced each other out between our last bet that we did with the track meet draft, and then my bet of which Joshua Chep, the guy, was going to run under 26:10. I think we're about even, but I figure tomorrow when we do that podcast for drafting the marathon project, we'll probably have some bet that won't ever get paid up. But in any case, yeah, he's big on that. I'm excited to make my selections, although I'm feeling now it's time for me to get some things wrong. I've gotten a couple things right in a row when it comes to events. And so I'm guessing the person I pick is going to drop out for the marathon project, and or the person I say that's going to not do well will win and break an American record or something like that. So keep your eyes and ears out for that.
Are you going to pick somebody you wouldn't ordinarily pick and try to fool yourself?
Oh, kind of zag a little bit. No, I mean on the men's side, I'm going to not just because he was on our show, but I think I've kind of staked my claim with CJ Albertson on the men's side, just, the 209 treadmill guy. And the women's side will be Sarah Hall. So I guess I've, showed my hand already, but I think the women's side is a little bit more predictable. But yeah, I've hopefully have not jinxed either of those athletes. Hopefully they still run well, but we shall see. Jared Ward's in the mix. And obviously the men's field is Scott Fauble as well, and a couple other good guys. It's going to be good races.
Yeah, you have a matchup versus Gordon in the men, and then I'm going against Gordon in the women. I think this should be the tiebreaker for you guys, the bet to end all bets. And then whoever wins, you could almost call it a loser leaves home situation. Loser leaves town, not home. You don't get evicted. Sorry, that's not true.
Yeah,
loser leaves town. Although you've already left town. You're in Taylor, Texas. Yeah. You're no longer in Austin. But you got to pay up on these bets. They're a lot more fun. I'm going to give Gordon your Venmo info, and then he's just going to message you constantly until you have to change your ID.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, I think I may even owe him money from like March Madness 2019. It's not it's not great. Which is, I'm taking equal responsibility as well. I need to stop. These aren't significant gambles. Like, this isn't Michael Jordan on the airplane, like, $1,000 a hand or anything.
Yeah,
but still, I probably owe him $30. He owes me beer, which I don't need that at this point. But in any case, we've got to settle these bets, or they're kind of hollow.
Gordon, I talked about this before. You weren't on the show though. Who would you bet a huge amount of money on right now to win Olympic gold
in the marathon, or just
in any event? In any event, you have. Like, if someone gave you like even odds on like Noah Lyles, would you put like it on Noah Lyles? Like, would you bet a significant amount of money on a track and field athlete right now to win gold next year?
Yeah, I would bet good. I would bet on Lyles, maybe even on Brazier and Chariot. I would probably go there. The women's side, maybe Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, although obviously she's, her age decline.
That's risky.
Risky. Coming at any point. But on the men's side, I feel good about those three: Lyles, Brazier, and Chariot. that I would, I mean, significant amount of money. It would still be in the 3 digits. I'm not in the business of betting in the 4-digit numbers, but would feel pretty good about my bets in those cases.
You wouldn't bet 4 digits on like Mondo or Krauser or Lyles?
I mean, I guess so. Here, the problem, some of that is I was just thinking running events, and which was foolish, but because track and field, but I don't know. Now that I think of it, I mean, Mondo's been so good in Krauser. I'm sure that I would also put money on those guys. Although they have shown that they have, when it comes to the championship events, their competition rises to another level. And I know they've gone to another level this season, but I don't know. I mean, I figure Kendricks will still mount a challenge in the pole vault, and Kovacs or Tom Walsh will be there in the shot put. I mean, it doesn't look like it at this point, but give it till the summer, and maybe the things change. No, you're right. I should have said those guys as well.
Well, I don't want you to risk money. I'm just saying, let's say half your salary. Is there anybody you'd bet half your salary on right now?
No, because I don't. No.
A quarter of your salary.
That's like saying, I'm going to bet half my salary that this extra point's going to go through, and somehow the kicker who's 30 for 30 on field goals of 55 yards and above this season misses a 17-yard kick. It's just, no, it's not worth it. No, I don't.
Really?
I don't trust anybody.
You wouldn't put half your salary on an extra point being made? Oh, I'd put it on it. I'm not even a gambler, and I would put it on an extra point being made for sure.
Well, but okay. I mean, so you could, it would be nice to win, but the horror of losing would be so bad that
it'd be over real quickly. It's over. It's not like a marathon where you're watching, Kipchoge fall apart and a huge sum of money. The extra point, it's over pretty quick. You're either going to be happy or you're going to be
okay. So it's like this extra point goes through, and you are all of a sudden a world-class marathoner. However, if they miss it, I'm going to blow your leg off. And it's like, I can live without being a world-class marathoner, so I'm going to just not take this bet.
But like, what's the success? I'm looking this up. Success rate of extra points.
It's like, it's got to be 97% or higher, but
94%.
Okay.
94%. Okay. I think you should do it. Not the blowing your leg off thing. But I think if someone ever offers, I'm just giving you a little bit of life advice, Lincoln. I'm a couple years older than you. If anybody gives you those sort of odds on an extra point being made, I think you should take it.
Yeah, I think of the meme of the bad. I don't know what it was, like bad luck Charlie or whatever. Like, you take a huge bet and you miss. I mean, imagine the shame and the embarrassment of like you took a huge bet on something like that, and then you miss that, and then everyone mocks you forever. I think of just the other night, Monday Night Football, where like millions of dollars were in bets were shifted because of the game ended in a safety and the cover was blown or something like that. It's just, there's too many weird things. That's why I'm not a gambler. I just like to gamble with Gordon because I know there's a pretty high chance that we're not going to ever pay it off. So that's what I.
My one person right now would be Lyles because I don't see any competition to him. So it's just basically a bet on, can this guy be healthy? If this guy is healthy in 2 races, the Olympic trials and the Olympics, that's what you're betting on there because there's nobody who's going to be close to him. We know his record is stellar over the last couple of years. But even Mondo, I would freak out about him going out at an early height or just having a bad day. And also he's got competition that's relatively close to him. Yeah. If it was Krauser, I'd be worried about Kovacs or Walsh. Muhammad, obviously you're worried about Sidney McLaughlin.
Yeah.
There's no, you wouldn't jump at any other, even Kipchoge, you wouldn't jump at. Too many things can go wrong in a marathon, but I think Lyles would be the guy. Lyles would be the guy for me right now.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think you're right. Just the volatility of different events and the lack of competition. Everyone avoids the 200 except for the best sprinter in the world right now. It's very strange.
You can follow up with me next year after the Olympic 200 final. You can tell me, hey, Kevin, your house has been repossessed. Or, hey, Kevin, you won another house because Noah Lyles won the 200. And we'll see how
that bet you made on a podcast was actually legally binding. So that's tough.
We had to call the bank, and sorry, man. Hope your family can fit into a hotel because that's where you're headed. Okay, we've stalled enough. We've stalled enough
Yeah.
to get our breakthrough athletes of the year in order. Do you want to go in any particular order here, or is this random order?
Well, I'm looking through this list. I mean, there's obviously much bigger. We're operating on a sliding scale here. Obviously, a lot of
Mhm.
all these athletes have scored major breakthroughs and are some just much bigger than others. So
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to start smaller. I guess it is subjective, but start smaller and then work up, or start with the big names. I mean, I kind of prefer to start with the larger scale and then maybe whittle our way down. Although again, like I said, it's subjective. So you just
Yeah.
start wherever you feel comfortable.
Well, what I tried to do, and you helped a lot in this list too, so it wasn't just me. What I tried to do here is that, yeah, somebody whose 2020 stood out from all other years in their career. So you're right. I have some people here who won athlete of the year, but that's just because this year was so much better than previous years. So I did not include people
Mhm.
who had previously won gold medals, but I put people who broke world records this year because this year marked such a huge improvement from prior years. We have college represented, we have pros represented, we have people who we think of more on the American side of things in terms of, hey, it'd be amazing if they made the Olympic team next year. And then we have
Mm.
people who have obviously been at the top of their event this year. So I'll start with Krisha Schweizer, who went from 1445 down to 1426 this year in that 5,000 that was run by the Bowerman Track Club. You forget this as well, too, Lincoln, because it happened so many months ago. That 3,000 against Shelby Houlihan
Mm.
at BU, where she ran 825 and got the American record. So she got an American record. She also beat the best woman in the country at that distance. She also ran four flat for 1,500. I think Krisha Schweizer for sure makes this list. And if you want to add a couple extra months, it is crazy to think that her PR in the 5,000 on October 1st, 2019 was 1501, and now she's at 1426 because she went down
Right.
from 1501 to 1445 by the time she left Doha, and then this year another 19 seconds off. So I think Krisha Schweizer had one of the biggest breakthroughs in all of 2020.
Yeah, we kind of saw her initial breakthrough happen in real time in Doha when she
Mhm.
PR'd in both rounds at the World Championships, and kind of thought, oh, that's her that's her leap up into the to kind of the level she's going to operate at for a few years, and didn't know that. I guess we should have seen that she was going to have another level to go here, and you figure this is kind of where she'll stay for a little bit, but if she keeps ascending higher, she's going to be a challenge to her teammate Shelby Houlihan for years to come, and could be you think someone this young, whatever she is, 24, 25, um, got a real good shot to challenge for a medal at this point. 1426, she does operate in the shadow of Shelby Houlihan a little bit, but when you beat Houlihan in that 3,000 and show the necessary foot speed to really be competitive on the international stage, it's someone obviously you have to take seriously. And so she's raced so sparingly this year that it's like, well, we still haven't really seen the full measure of what she's going to be able to do in 2021. So again, I'll say it. Houlihan obviously gets the attention, and everyone will focus on her and what she can do in the 5,000 as well as the 1,500. But Schweizer is, was going to have a real shot to get a medal in 2021. And that
Mhm.
is not something we could have said, in 2019. So obviously this has been a huge year for her.
Yeah, the speed is still there, as evidenced by the big PR in the 1,500, where she almost broke
Mm-hmm.
4 minutes. To me, it's just the competitiveness. The fact that she closed the gap on Houlihan just speaks volumes. The PR is nice, and I'm sure she's glad she has it. But the fact that she's that close to Houlihan in the 5,000 is and beat her in the 3,000 is such a promising development. You could probably say if there was a breakthrough event of 2020, obviously the half marathon would be up there, but the women's 5,000 I think is a close second because of what happened. And that brings me to another athlete here. Latensipet Gede, who went from 14.23 down to 14.06. Now, she previously had won a silver medal, but I don't think anybody heading into the year thought, and by the end of 2020, Latensipet Gede is going to be the women's 5,000 meter world record holder, and she's going to run 14.06. I don't think there was a single person out there other than maybe her and her coach who really, and maybe not even them, who thought 14.06 would be what we would see out of her this year.
No, the women's 5,000 world record was not something I had. Maybe I should have, if just thinking of all the talent that's there, but that world record going down, just considering not too many people had come too close to it in the year since it was broken in 2008 by Tirnesh Dababa. I just didn't have that one on my track and field bingo board this year, even thinking going into the year was going to be a full season. But especially for Gede, who was just kind of a secondary figure, it's like, oh, she got silver in the 10,000 last year, but that's Safan Hassan's event. I mean, she crushed her. So I know I'm not getting a Christmas card this year from Latensipet Gede. If we look back a couple months ago, I was critical of what her breaking the record said, but I think I will be proven probably ultimately incorrect when she eventually will have gold medals to, I guess, in my strange mind, to validate her world record. She had a huge year just simply in that one performance, that it just shows that she's a step higher than I think most people understood her to be. So despite the fact that, she may not be a dominant force in the 5,000, just running 14.06, like it elevates her in any event she's going to be doing, be it the 5 or the 10. Not a gold medal favorite by any means, but certainly somebody who you have to strongly consider just based on that one run.
Yeah, and you could still say she's not the favorite, and still say she had a massive breakthrough this year. And I mean, anybody who gets down to 14.06 is I mean, it's a stunning event. It's one of the most surprising times of 2020, which we'll talk about biggest surprises of the year when we record more of our end of the year awards next week. Let's stay around that same event group, but go to the men's side of things. Jacob Kiplimo, your guy, ends the year with 12:48, 7:26, a World Half Marathon Championship, and a 57:37 PB in the half marathon, which is the second fastest time ever. So 12:48, 7:26, 57:37. How about that for some PRs, Lincoln? Huh?
Yeah, it's hard to even remember what we knew Kiplimo for before this year. It was, he got like a silver in the World Half Championships. He was just exclusively kind of in the shadow of Cheptegei. And again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's crazy to think that he's kind of elevated himself in a year where Cheptegei broke both the 5 and the 10 world records. It was just a phenomenal year from him. And, I think he's so good now that we can say he's going to be a threat to Cheptegei in the 10,000 and, possibly in the 5,000, although the 10 probably more of his strength. Yeah, he's so young. I mean, he's younger than Jakob Ingebrigtsen. So whenever he moves to the marathon, you think he's going to be a superstar. 57:37 is obviously absurd. I know he got beat in that race, but I mean, it's 57:37. It's unbelievable that he could run that so new into the half marathon and obviously get beaten there. He's the kind of the rare guy where he could be an elite 5,000 meter runner right now. He is that, and it seems like he could be an elite marathoner right now. So he kind of we don't know that for sure, but he's so good at the half. He kind of is different than even Cheptegei. Cheptegei is just ran one half, but Cheptegei may have some work left to do, whereas Kiplimo has already kind of figured that distance out. So he's like, wow, you're 20 years old, or 19, 20 years old. Do you want to do the marathon now, or do you want to do the still stay on the track? Because the options are there for him. And he'll end up with a medal of some kind in 2021. I just don't know what shade and in what event.
Yeah, and you look at his success in the half and the success in the 5K, and you think, okay, he's definitely going to run the 10,000 next year at the Olympics, and the
Is it
10,000 for the
double
men is
marathon?
yeah, triple. Why not all three?
Yeah.
But it just makes me think how hard it's going to be to medal in that 10,000. I know domestically we talk about the 5K team being harder to make because right now it is, but internationally, if you have Cheptegei, Kip Limo, Ronix Kiprutu, maybe another one of these, maybe someone like Kibiwat Candy in there as well, who ran really fast, broke the half marathon world record. In addition to Mo Farah, who we have to give credit for, we didn't see him much this year, but he's got 10 gold medals.
Outside of reality TV.
Yeah, he did not win in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of There. Was eliminated in the quarterfinals, but
They got him out of there.
He ran that hour record and is showing some fitness. But there's 5, 6, 7 guys in there that you could say have a really good shot at getting a gold, not just getting a medal, but getting a gold. So that'll be a fun one next year. The men's 10,000 in Tokyo, I think.
Yeah,
because the Ugandan presence combined with the traditional Kenyan Ethiopian presence combined with Mo Farah, it just adds another dimension to it.
What does it take to be a good 10,000 meter runner right now? Well, your PB needs to be kind of getting close to 25-minute range, and or you need to have 57-minute half marathon speed. That's all.
Or you need to be able to close in 52. No big deal.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Let's look at the last event that you and I covered in person, which hosted a bunch of breakthroughs. That's the U.S. Olympic marathon trials. And Alfine Tuliamuk, I think, could say had a big breakthrough this year, and Molly Seidel had a big breakthrough this year.
Yeah, I mean the top three, obviously, you don't want to say Sally Kipyego because she's kind of operated 2 separate careers. Well, really 3. Her college career dominant, her post college career she was good but not the best, but she won medals.
She medaled, yeah.
And then and then the kind of the last several years has been a struggle. She became an American citizen and kind of thought, her career's winding down, and then she comes up and does that and makes the team. She's obviously not a breakthrough because of what she's done before, but the other two, Tuliamuk and Seidel, both, if we want to package them together, Seidel had never run a marathon. Tuliamuk still getting her feet wet in the distance. Huge years for them both, and can't wait to see what they do in Tokyo. I know Tuliamuk is pregnant and will be having a child, so that will be a story on its own. And Seidel is still learning the distance, but she took a step forward in London, and it just seems like she can kind of do no wrong this year, which is cool to see, based on the struggles she previously had when she started her professional career. So both of them are it's just really, really cool stories, and huge years for them just in one performance alone. You say a huge year, and then you think back and you're like, oh, it's kind of just one race, but obviously that one race is career defining. So it was a big deal.
Yeah. It was a clutch performance. Tuliamuk was incredibly clutch getting the victory there. Seidel raced a bunch more this year, which was interesting. You'd see her name pop up in a lot of different events. And I think she's in an interesting position because she has that amazing breakthrough at the marathon trials, surprises everybody. And if the Olympics were on schedule, maybe she'd do another tune-up race, but she wouldn't have another big race until the Olympics. And you could expect a little bit of a come down from that. Just how it seems to be how sports works. It's really hard to ride that high 2 consecutive races. But now that she's had a little bit of time to adjust and have races that weren't as good as the Olympic trials, I think it'll be beneficial to her next year to go into Tokyo having a few more races under her and not just kind of like living off the adrenaline of such a big race in Atlanta. It's a unique situation, so you don't know for sure how it's going to happen. But we've all seen it, the happy to be here thing. Even though people say, "Oh, I'm not just happy to be here. I'm gonna take advantage of opportunity." But it's just so hard to recapture that not just the physical shape that you were in, but the emotional position that you were in that day when you made the team. So I'm interested to see both.
I do think, no, that's a good point for a big parts of the U.S. marathon team. Obviously, we don't expect anyone besides Rupp to contend for a medal. I could be wrong, but that you could say 5 of the 6 are going to be in the happy to be here category. But especially for Seidel and Riley, those without the big time experience, I think just having some distance from it and kind of now hopefully, I know Riley hasn't run a marathon, but in Seidel's case, she ran London. I think that, and she ran 2:25. That was a tremendous experience for her. I imagine just being on another start line, being next to people she'll be in the Olympic marathon with, is incredibly valuable. So, it's funny. We talked about, I know this wasn't going to happen, but we talked when the Olympics were postponed, like, well, should they rerun this race? I know that was never a real consideration, but in reality, the time I think it's kind of been a good thing for the U.S. team just to allow them to recalibrate and really focus without having to come in with that mindset of like, well, the big race was Atlanta. This is just the celebration afterwards. It doesn't necessarily just have to be that. When you are given, like in Seidel's case, get allowed to get more experience and get more comfortable with the distance.
Jake Riley, I think, deserves inclusion on the breakthrough list. This was his last shot, and he came through 2:10:02 and gets second, and with a late run too to do it, moving really well. Grab the flag early, as we've talked about a couple times on the show. Yeah. I almost didn't want to include him on this list because he lost that virtual race to Jared Ward a couple months later.
Yeah, that really knocked him down a peg.
But I said, you made the Olympic team. You deserve to be on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a tough loss for him. The virtual race. I think Olympic team, virtual race on Instagram Live. It's tough. No. I mean that. Yeah, obviously, in some ways, that was the story of the men's race. Obviously, Rupp dominating was expected and a story, but certainly with the way he passed people coming home and being a guy who was unsponsored and like you said, kind of making his last shot, that was a major breakthrough for him. So and then he got sponsored a few months after. So it's been a great 2020 for Jake Riley.
Next up, let's go to Kira D'Amato. Kira D'Amato, who was at the Olympic trials, but made her name on the track and the shorter distances on the roads later on the year. She was 15th at the trials and then just took off from there. She ran that 15:04 5,000 meter time trial once everything got shut down. She went on to run 68:57 and a half, 51:23, and got that women's only U.S. 10-mile record. She ran a road 5K that was not verified, so we don't know the exact distance. It was supposed to be 5K in 15:08, but more importantly, she beat some pretty big names there. Now she's running this weekend in the Marathon Project, but it doesn't really matter what she does in the Marathon Project. That's all just a bonus. She's run 15 low. She's run under 69 minutes and a half. She ran a 51:23 in the 10-mile. This has been an amazing year for her, and I think she has a chance to make the team in the 10,000 next year.
Yeah, and you do hate to cite age, but it's less than the fact that she's 36, but more that she had just spent the first whatever portion of her career just being kind of irrelevant in the U.S. stage, and she was working a job. I assume she's maybe still working a job. Like I don't know her sponsorship situation, but yeah, a realtor, and she was a good college runner, not in any situation though where she had great college. Yeah, but you just don't see somebody have a breakthrough at 36 usually. It just doesn't really happen.
I don't know. I feel like I broke through this year.
Yeah, 36. Yeah. It's not no offense to the 36-year-olds out there.
I'm actually a couple months older than her. So just offend her and me at the same time. That's fine.
Okay. It's not a perfect analogy, but I want to give her the Jeremy Lin Award. We think back to the early 2010s. Jeremy Lin comes on, unheralded guy, and all of a sudden he's the star of the New York Knicks for 8 weeks. Now, this has been longer for Kira D'Amato, but that's kind of on a smaller scale what this has been. It's been like, what is going on? Why is this realtor now running 15 flat and beating all these good pros and breaking American records and this, that, and the other. It was so unexpected. I mean, I don't think anyone outside of, people who may have known her in the Virginia area where she's from had heard of Chiara D'Amato, right? I mean, I didn't have, speaking of bingo boards, I didn't have a realtor coming up and becoming one of the US's best 5K and 10K runner in 2020. I just didn't have that one on my board. I just didn't see that. I usually that doesn't happen. So like I said, the analogy for me is Jeremy Lin kind of just popping out of nowhere and taking over for a period.
If they did have the track trials this year and she did get all the standards and time and everything and made it to Eugene with a chance to make the team in the 5 and the 10, that would have been a huge story. That would have been something where the general public really would have eaten it up for all the reasons that you described there. It's like, wait a minute, she stopped running for a while and she's got a full-time job. Like that's a made for TV setup there, and just how fast she runs. Yeah, it was just unbelievable still. So we'll see what she does in the marathon this weekend, but it's not like that's the path to the Olympics anyway, because that race has already been run, although she's just shown pretty good range this year. It wouldn't surprise me if she gets a PR there as well too, given how fast the course is. I really wanted to see her in that 10,000 for obvious reasons at the track meet, and she didn't run it. She got food poisoning, so she wasn't able to compete. So she wasn't able to compete there, because I think that's obviously her event, and it's a tough year to compete in that event because, as we talked about on and on and on, the women's 10,000 at the Olympic trials is going to just be brutally difficult. But yeah, D'Amato definitely, when you think of breakthroughs, is at the top of the list. Got 4 more here on the list. We got 4 more on the list. Let's go to your guy, Shura Katada.
Yeah, I made the joke at the time, I didn't think when London came down to a sprint finish between a Kenyan and Ethiopian, it wasn't the two that I anticipated. We all hoped it was going to be Kenenisa Bekele and Eliud Kipchoge. Wasn't that. I forget the name of the Kenyan who was there. It doesn't really matter, because the Ethiopian one, it was Shura Katada, who had been solid, had run some good half marathons, had come close in majors, but to win this was a big deal for him. I mean, the race still ended up being more about the fact that the Kipchoge versus Bekele thing never materialized, and then that Kipchoge had his worst marathon ever. But if you forget about that, which is hard to do, but if you do, Shura Katada got a nice win. And you look at him as somebody who's, if an Olympic style race is going to be a championship race, is, he may not be a guy that's going to be competitive if it's a 202 race, but if it's a championship style and it's 3 or 4 minutes slower, I think he's got the arsenal to be able to hang in and be competitive for a medal, because he's thrived in obviously this race, and then he's done really well in New York in the past as well. So it seems to be building the resume of a very strong championship runner, and this was kind of further proof.
You also put on this list Kibiwat Candy, which I was going to quibble with a little bit, because I said, he was already known commodity. But I guess if you PR by 66 seconds in the half marathon, we'll add you to the list.
Well, yeah, and I had him simply because
I guess he PR'd by 2 minutes. If you go back to 2019, his PR was 59:31, and he ends 2020 with 57:32. So he ran under 59 3 times, and then ran under 58 once. So yeah, I will allow this.
Yeah, I feel like it's a solid breakthrough. His marathon PR right now is 2:22. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like that's in position to maybe go down a little bit. He could
go out in 57, and then
he was just another guy. He was just another guy until this year, and now all of a sudden, obviously, he's the marathon world record holder for how long? Who knows? But we both like his racing style, real aggressive, it seems like, and I don't know what that holds for him in the marathon, but he's certainly a breakthrough guy. It's easy to forget a lot of people, because some people break through so much that you forget that they came through, that they were way behind, they're so good that you're like, oh, they had to have been good previous. They had to be really good previously. And then in the case of Kibbe Candy, he was fine, but he wasn't the Candy Man. They weren't calling him the Candy Man. Now they are.
Yeah, he was on a radar if you're paying really close attention to that half marathon cross country type of circuit, which is a whole different level of people who get noticed. Yeah, he was running super duper fast. He was running under 60 minutes and he was winning races in cross country, but this is a big jump up. And even if he hadn't run the 57:32, if he had missed Camora's record and ran 58:03, you'd probably still put him on here because he was runner up in the world champs and then ran 58s four straight times, that's a lot of high heat, as they say in the half marathon business, Lincoln.
Yeah. Yep. And then he didn't just miss the world record. He broke it by 29 seconds. I guess another breakout would be the new Adidas shoes. That's a breakout performer of the year. It seems that
is a very good one.
They got word that you're supposed to put carbon fiber in the shoe and then foam in there and then, some mesh in and around, they figured out how to make shoes like one other company that's done well. And they now finally Adidas has some athletes performing, because they don't have clogs anymore.
So do you want to talk now about whether or not it's ruining the sport? No, just kidding. Okay, let's go to our next person, our most accomplished person on the list, because this person won World Athletics Athlete of the Year. But I think Mondo Duplantis should be included for two reasons. One, he's never won a gold medal. He's never dominated the pole vault until this year. And this year, he dominated it. He went undefeated against all his competition, and he had some worthy competitors this year. The second reason, not only did he get the world record, but it was a big bump up. 6:05 all the way to 6:18 is a healthy jump for Duplantis. So I think you can be Athlete of the Year and get the Breakthrough of the Year. I know it's like the end of the season cross country banquet where the coach likes to spread around the awards. So most improved isn't going to go to the MVP or what have you. So you like to spread it around. So if this was banquet style, I probably wouldn't be giving it to him. But if we're just listing people who had breakthroughs, if it was banquet style, we'd all be eating like Little Caesars pizza right now. Well, not yeah. I would still give it to him on the list of like who had notable breakthroughs this year. I would include Mondo.
Well, yeah, it's hard to think because this has been 3 years one, but we go back to 2019. He got silver not only in the World Championships, but he got silver at the NCAA Outdoor Championships. We knew he was going to be fantastic, but we're still, it wasn't automatic that Mondo Duplantis was going to come and not that the Olympics happened, but win the gold medal in 2020. It wasn't automatic at all. You still had Kendricks as the favorite and other guys around him. And then he just kind of figuratively and perhaps literally launched himself into a different stratosphere this year for whatever reason. He just came out on fire to start the indoor season. Indoor season was arguably the best part of his season. And jumping 6:18 and 6:17 before that. It's unbelievable, and you have to call it a breakthrough. It's kind of hard. It's weird to think that he doesn't. I know he has a European gold, but he doesn't have a gold medal yet. And it's still, even though he's so young, it's like this year was so good. It's like how they give it like celebrities honorary doctorates. It feels like he should get like an honorary gold medal for this year. I don't know what it was. I guess that's World Athlete of the Year. World Athletics Athlete of the Year, but it's still kind of strange to think about that, even though he's like 21 or 20 or something, that he doesn't have a gold yet, just simply because this year was so otherworldly and ridiculous.
Well, let's compare him to the other two gentlemen who were his closest competition for Athlete of the Year, Warholm and Krauser, both of whom had massive years, the best years of their career, just in terms of marks. What's that?
But Cheptegei too was another.
Oh, sorry, Cheptegei. Yeah. Well, they all have golds. They all have golds coming into the year. So that's why I did not include them in terms of breakthroughs, even though they had massive mark improvements this year. Or in Krauser's case, just the depth of performance was insane.
Yeah.
So he ended in 2019, I don't think, being the favorite for the next global gold, but he ended
Right.
2020 being the favorite for it. So that's
Sure.
why I put him on the list.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, he's in some ways like literally changed the way we think of the pole vault.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think anyone thinks he's done breaking the world record by any means.
Right.
You had people who know about the pole vault. I think of Sandy Morris, like even back in February, saying like, yes, he's clearing these 619s, but his hips are at like 1630 or sorry, 630. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna these world record that he's going to change the way we think of the pole vault eventually. And this was kind of just the start of it. So it's inevitable that world record, or excuse me, that gold medals are going to come. But I agree, yeah, breakthrough candidate certainly, because he was a phenom, and now he's like his prime has already started, which I don't think we expected
Mm-hmm.
this year, and certainly didn't expect for it to take on this next level. It was crazy.
All right, we'll end with a collegiate athlete, and it was tough to put collegiate athletes on the list because their season was cut short and their racing opportunities were limited. But I still think Luis Grijalva belongs on here, and I know Gordon would
Mhm.
argue with me about this because he's always talking down Luis's performances. He's always saying, "Man, I don't know about that guy. He's really unproven."
Right.
But I'm going to stand up right now and say Grijalva belongs on the list. Runs 13:29 in the 5,000 indoors, then drops to 7:43 in the 3,000 indoors. And then the big one came at the track meet where he runs 13:16 and wins the race against some good runners there as well. So if you want to take what I said as the formula for the pro athletes and apply it to Grijalva, who came into the year not being a favorite for a title, but then leaves the year becoming a favorite for the title, I think that is Grijalva. And you may say, well, he's not the favorite for cross. Okay, but indoor, outdoor, he's the favorite for something. 5,000, 3,000 indoors, it doesn't matter. He's a favorite for something next year because with those marks and just the way he attacked these last couple months, Grijalva's in another category than he was last year.
Yeah, it feels, without even having spoken to him, it feels like a different, like not just obviously a different level physically, but like kind of like a mental confidence approach. When you go in and he's like, let's take the last week's track meet. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he goes in. We know he's faster than his 13:29 PR coming in, and you just feel like he's the favorite, even though there's other guys in there that
Mm-hmm.
are like more accomplished than him. And you're just like, he's just operating on a different level than the rest of these people right now. He's just in such rhythm, and
Yeah.
which is the reason why he's a breakthrough athlete, is that he's in rhythm in a year that's been anything. It's been rhythm breaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's he beat Connor Mance in that OSU cross country meet. Well, okay, that's a cross country meet in a season that's not even a season. Okay, but there's just been performance after performance after performance where he continues to kind of be at this new level. So certainly a breakthrough is warranted, and yeah, he's going to, if he doesn't go pro before, which it seems like he's really hungry to win an NCAA title, so I don't think he will. But if he doesn't go pro before then, he will end up with something. And it at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if, I know there's some other good guys, but he kind of takes over for his last little bit of college eligibility. He could certainly win cross country over Wesley Kiptoo and Connor Mance, although that'll be tough. And then in the 5 and the 3, I think that's going to be his domain where he owns. And
Mm-hmm.
the 5K outdoors as well. That's just how good it's been. And like I think the bigger thing aside from the physical improvements is that he just is at his mindset is totally different. And I always kind of harken back to this, but when we did our documentary last year, and he was talking with Mike Smith about, I don't want to just be a decent, or an average college runner, which again, he wasn't at that time. I can show you what an average college runner is, but he didn't want to be a average college runner. He wanted to be good, which was cool to see that in real time, because that has been manifested, right?
Mm-hmm.
In his last year, is like that mindset. It wasn't just for the cameras. It was like very clearly, it was him coming into that 2019 season saying, I'm ready to take the next step. And it didn't happen in cross country. He had one bad race, but since then it's happened. And he is now somebody who's all expectations will be have a long and successful post collegiate career and be a target for groups and sponsors. He's nobody's elevated themselves more in the NCAA than he has this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his PRs just vastly outrun his championship results. And you'd think 2021 would be the time when the championship results catch up to the personal bests. That'll at least be the focus, because you don't go in and win. If you're not able to handle big time competition, you don't go to that track meet race against those type of runners and pull out a victory. Yeah, cross country is going to be different, and indoor championships are going to be different, but still you're beating some solid names there, and you're really taking it to them as well. You're running aggressive. As you said, you're running as the favorite almost. So I agree with you. I'm excited to see what he does in 2021. Hopefully there'll be the full complement of championships to see him compete in. I'm with you. He started that first year at NAU, he was running a lot of 1500s. So I think that 3K 5000 indoors suits him really well, where the closing speed is important. He's no slouch in cross country either, but maybe it's the track in that 5,000, 3,000 area that is his specialty right now, his best, his sweet spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
All right. We'll leave it there. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. We got a few emails, which we will read for sure. So thank you to those who wrote in. A lot of people correcting Gordon, which is good. Keep those emails coming in. One email that people want Lincoln specifically to read, which is interesting. So if you want Lincoln to read, I know there's you're not on Cameo, obviously, but would you record people's voicemails for a fee? People don't even leave voicemails anymore, so that's not a thing, is it? Hey, you've reached Kevin's phone. This is FloTrack's own Lincoln Shrike. Leave a message to talk to Kevin.
I would do that.
I'm just wondering if they like your voice. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I don't think I have that soothing of a voice. This isn't like Morgan Freeman, but maybe I have a career as a, maybe I'm the next car commercial guy. Get on down for the December to Remember sales event, 0% APR financing. I can feel that. That feels good. Yeah, that was pretty good, right? Yeah. So maybe that's what. I was surprised as you were to read that somebody wants me to read not a generic email, but an email that doesn't seem to come from anywhere other than them wanting to hear my voice. So, if that's what the people want, I can give that to them. My voice is up for rental, and is just let me know what I need to do readings for.
What are your thoughts on the Toyota-thon?
Yeah, Toyota. It's funny how ingrained those all are, because there was an SNL skit about the December to Remember, and then I just, I didn't even need you don't even need to know what brand that is. You're just like, oh, that's in my mind, and the Ford truck month and all the car commercial things, and you're like, does advertising work? Yes, it does, because I know of Ford Truck Month, even though I don't know what month it is, and I've never gone to Ford Truck Month, and I don't care, but all the car commercial shticks I know. Have
you ever been to Lobster Fest at Red Lobster? Because don't they have Lobster Month? No, I see those ads.
Yeah.
I mean, Toyota-thon is smart because they put the name in the name.
It does work. You know what?
I would not December to Remember. I don't know.
That's Lexus.
I would not have known that.
It's Lexus.
Yeah, I would not know.
Yeah, the joke with the SNL thing was that the husband bought the wife a car, and then she got mad because they couldn't afford the car, and he had borrowed the money. He had borrowed the money from the neighbor to pay for the car. But I got you. I always wondered that.
Yeah, there's a big red bow on it. Who is buying their significant other a car? Right. If you're not married, that's a crazy thing to buy. And if you are married, you'd kind of want to talk about that, unless you just have stupid amounts of money. And if you have stupid amounts of money, you're probably getting something above a Lexus. Not that a Lexus isn't expensive, but
right. Yeah, you need to be able to, if you're buying a car for Christmas, you need to have the type of money where you can pay cash for that. Because if not, your spouse is gonna be like, all right, so what's our interest rate? What's our monthly payment on this? I'm not happy about this. Like, don't buy me this. Nothing we have to finance.
Well, it's like people who win cars on game shows. A lot of times they turn
It's
them
not
down
good.
because they
Yeah,
have to
you don't
pay
actually
taxes.
want
It's like
the
you,
yeah.
yeah. The only time being surprised with a car makes sense is Sweet 16.
Mm,
Like
yeah,
kids getting surprised. Not
yeah,
that I am ever going to get my kid a car for their 16th birthday. Not to say that's the right way or wrong way to do it, but that actually makes sense. Oh, hey, look, here's the car, because you're controlling the finances, and the kid's going to be, well, the kid should be
yeah,
excited with whatever you
yeah,
get, and you've worked it
yeah.
out. You're not like, hey, honey, here's a Chevy.
Well, in
Merry
any case,
Christmas.
the
Take this
marketing's not
gigantic
wrong.
bow off. Yeah,
Yeah, the marketing's not wrong because it will be a December to remember in any situation, right? At some point. Uh,
that's true. All right.
but
We'll
yeah,
leave it. No more free ads. If they want to
yeah,
sponsor, they can sponsor it. All right. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We will talk about the marathon project then. Thank you to Alon for producing. Thank you to the golden voice of Lincoln Strike for co-hosting. See you next time.